All right. So now we go to the third stage of this FAAN 16 in regard to documentation. Right. So you look at paragraph 35 there under 2.18. All right. The financial advisor shall make reasonable efforts to document the basis for the recommendation referred to in paragraph 36B, and such documentation shall include, all right? So they put on there reasonable efforts, all right? So again, what is reasonable efforts? The definition of reasonable will depend on the Financial Advisor Corporation standards, all right? So as I said before, I use the word contemporaneous, meaning as soon as possible. All right, as a practicing lawyer myself, I always make sure that after I've spoken to a client, all right, I'll sit down and write an email to the client and say, this serves to confirm the following, all right? ABC, XYZ, that we've spoken, and these are your instructions, all right? So this is to again put on record, okay? As soon as the transaction has been done, or at least maybe the next day or the day after, all right? As soon as it's possible, as soon as it's reasonable, all right? So if you document your information and whatever you've spoken to the client or so on, 1 month late or 3 months late, I think that that may not be deemed to be reasonable, right? So again, it's reasonable effort. So what they need is the client's statement of his investment objectives, financial situation, and particular needs. So the client gives you a statement, right? So you got to document it, write it down, and then in writing. Then key, we have repeated this, the reasonable basis for making the recommendation, right? Based on the information given to you, based on your needs analysis, all right? We have gone through that. And lastly, the financial advisor assessments of the disadvantages of the investment product based on the circumstances of the client. Now, this is actually with regard to suitability, all right? So when you want to make a recommendation to a client, you must have a reasonable basis. All right. If you look at the client's profile, his salary, his the number of dependents that he has for life insurance, all right, and then his employment status, his income, etc., his age, all right, and so forth, his knowledge, his experience. Then you find that the particular product is not good for him, then tell him so, right? So that's in terms of paragraph 35. Now, 36 says, you shall furnish the client a document containing the following when making a recommendation in respect of the investment product to the client. Alright, so you need to document, and then you need to also furnish to the client a document containing the following information, right? A summary of the information gathered by the financial advisor pursuant to paragraph 11. Now, as I brought you before to paragraph 11, those are the information that you are required to collect from the client, right? Data gathering, right? You got to gather all those information from the client. So you got to give a summary, all right? And any recommendation made to the client by the financial advisor and the basis of that recommendation, right? So not only must you document the transactions from day one, all right, you must also furnish the client with a summary, all right, of the information that you had. All right, you have done your needs analysis, you have come up with a product, you identify a product, you think this product is suitable. All right, you have documented it, fine, very good. But you are required now, all right, to send to the client a copy of that document containing a summary, not the details of your documentation, but a summary of it, all right? So say, look, these are the information given to you, a summary of it, and this is the recommendation of the product, and this is the basis upon which we recommend the product to you. Right? Right? And also, where applicable, also furnish to his client a statement that the client does not want to provide any information. Now, this with regard to a client coming back to you and say, hey, look, yeah, I know what you have done for me. Thank you very much. You have done your needs analysis, but I don't agree with you. All right? I still want to buy the other product, which I think is better for me. All right. So you have also to tell the client that if that be the case, all right, if applicable, you will inform the client that. Okay. and accept the recommendation of the financial advisor and chosen to proceed with the transaction in another investment product, which is not recommended by the financial advisor. Right? This I've gone through with you before. Right? And finally, or receive any recommendation of financial advisor before the client signs on the application form for the purchase of the investment product and gives his consent to dispose of the investment product. All right. So in summary, whatever you do for the client, there must be proper documentation. Right? And 37 sets out the details of what are the documents you have to furnish to the client, right? So A talks about collective investment scheme. All right. So you have to give a copy of the prospectus, the profile statement, the product highlight sheets, if applicable. All right. Whatever that you need to disclose to the client. The financial advisor corporation need to disclose to the client. So you need to disclose. All right. Any supplementary prospectus, supplementary profile statement, and so on and so forth. All right. That's in terms of the CIS. Now, in terms of the life policy under 37B, they give you the details. All right. So in case of life policy, including a bundled product, all right, you need to give copy of the cover page, the product summary, policy illustration, bundled product disclosure document, product highlight sheets, etc. All right. So they require you to give the client, to furnish the client with the relevant documents, depending on the type of designated product you are recommending to the client. All right. Now, if you want to give an abridged version, a summary as it were, then the financial advisor may do so. But this must be the client's written consent. All right? And of course, the financial advisor must maintain a copy of this document or statement, the abridged version, all right, in order to keep proper record, all right, of all these of all these transactions that you are going through with your client. Right? So, well, that is all in regard to this documentation and record keeping, right? Now, paragraph 40 talks about the customer knowledge assessment, which I've gone through with you at some length, and also the customer account review, all right, that you have conducted for the client, all right? And here at paragraph 40, they also require you in your documentation to client to include the following, right? A, B, and C, right? Right. In particular, I just read to you information collected from a client on his educational qualification, work experience, and investment experience. Now, as I've told you before, these are more sophisticated products, okay? Unlisted SIPs and listed SIPs, right? So therefore, you need to inform the client, all right, to furnish to the client, document to the client, all right, about that, okay? An assessment of the client's knowledge and experience in derivatives or the unlisted SIP, or the outcome of the CKA or the CAR, as the case may be. Okay, right. Okay, so just draw your attention to one point at paragraph 21, all right? Paragraph 41. 41. A financial advisor shall maintain records of all communications between the financial advisor and the client relating to the provision of financial advisory in respect of a listed specified investment product, including a record in the form of a file note or the tape recording of the telephone conversation. All right. Now, this is amended as at 21.8. All right. That's the latest amendment. Amendment number 2 or number 3, right? Number 2. Okay. So it is important, all right, for you to make, as I've said before, contemporaneous note. In regard to the listed SIP, right, it will include a tape recording of the telephone conversation. Because sometimes clients do telephone you telephone the client in respect of the of any transaction in the listed SIP, right? So therefore, you need to be contemporaneous. Right, tape recording is definitely contemporaneous. Okay. So that covers E of the chapter.